So those of you who are relatively new to my channel might not realize that my hair is naturally wavy. And now that I've gotten like 6 or 7 inches cut off, it's a lot lighter. So if I just let it kind of air dry and diffuse it, this is what I get. And it's a lot. It's very voluminous. Tomorrow it will calm down. But anyway, so you're just gonna have to deal with this hair for today. It's like, it's out of control. Anyway. Today we're going to do a full face of clean beauty. The reason I decided to do this video today is, one, I do get a lot of questions about clean beauty, like what is clean beauty, which ones are clean beauty, which brands are clean beauty. You know, I think there's different issues around like what people consider clean beauty and whether something has to be all natural, but I am not a dermatologist, I am not a scientist, so I'm not going to get into that, but what I will say is that there are many brands that do claim to be clean beauty at this point that I do use. Jones Road, Victoria Beckham, Caloray, Merit, Westman Atelier are just a few of those brands. And I got my hands on the Jones Road bronzer in, this is the one that everybody's been asking me about, Dusty Rose, which is more of a blush than it is a bronzer. But when I got it, I was like, you know what, let's do a whole face of clean beauty using this so you guys can see it. I am going to swatch this next to other bronzers so you can see the difference between this shade and others. I'm hoping to get maybe another shade of Jones Road before I do that so you can kind of see the different shades. Also, the Pat McGrath blushes are coming out in like 10 days. And the MAC blushes were supposed to come out, but I guess there was an issue. I'm not exactly sure. But my idea is to get the Hermes, the Jones Road, like a couple of them, the Pat McGrath, and do a comparison across all of those. So that'll be coming once the Pat McGrath ones are released, and hopefully the MAC ones. But today I will show you the Jones Road Dusty Rose, and I'll show you how we can use this as a, quote, bronzer. I'll show you the shade on my hand. To me, it's more of a contour or a blush tour, which I'll explain what that means in a second. Let's just go ahead and get started with the face. So this is the Westman Atelier. This is the face drops. I actually forget the real name of this. There's a name. Westman Atelier is one of my favorite brands, period, but it is, you know, a clean brand. And these drops are very lightweight, very minimal coverage. I put that on with my hands, and I'm going to take a little bit more, like the tiniest amount, and just put like a little bit through here and let it sit for a second. What I would say to you is if you want a little more coverage when you're using the drops or any really light, like it's not even a foundation, it's like a tinted moisturizer, there's a couple things that you can do. One, you can use powder. That's a way to go. Or something like the Merit stick or the Westman stick, whatever you like. And you can put that, or Jones Road has a stick, in the areas that you feel like you need a little bit more coverage. And when you put the drops on first, they give you a real, like if I have very dry skin, so they give you a really nice, like moisturized feeling on your skin. You don't, like the Jones Road stick has a little, it's a little drier. This one, the Merit, I think you could use by itself, like on dry skin, and you'd be fine. The Jones Road stick is a little dry to use, in my opinion, to like straight on my skin. But if you put it on over the Merit, like I said, it doesn't really need any moisturizer underneath. It's a pretty moisturizing stick. But the Jones Road stick, which is, it almost looks like a concealer stick. The Jones Road stick I have in my desk downstairs because I use it for touch-ups and stuff. But I think you can see, like, this left a really nice finish on my skin. It's fresh, it's light, it's very moisturizing. And in fact, the Westman Atelier, it stays a little, I don't want to say, it's not sticky. It's not like other ones that stay sticky. It's not that, but if you're dry, it's gonna feel very, very comfortable on your skin. So I would feel very comfortable like saying for someone who has dry skin. For oily skin, I would not suggest the Westman Atelier drops. I think it's a little just my opinion, I think it's a little too like moisturizing, too emollient. That's what I was looking for. So I'm also going to take the Westman Atelier stick, because again, this is Clean Beauty and this is in Biscuit, and I'm just going to put a little bit of contour on. You know, one of the things about Clean Beauty doesn't necessarily mean less. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean less coverage or less makeup. But I will say that a lot of times there is a look, if you will, that goes along with Clean Beauty, or many of the people that like Clean Beauty, which is a simpler, more streamlined way of doing makeup. And they don't have to go together. You could, you know, like Clean Beauty and like a very elaborate makeup look. But a lot of times I have seen my friends who like Clean Beauty brands, who are interested in Clean Beauty, tend to like a simpler look. So that's why I'm using my fingers today. I'm not using any brushes, although I do have the new Chikuhodo brushes, and I will show them to you, just the handles and stuff, because they really are beautiful and I want you to see them. All right, then I'm gonna take the Merit. This is the highlighting stick. I have this in Bounce, and just put a little bit of highlight. Again, this is all to create kind of a dewy, healthy, you know, everyday look. I think you can use Clean Beauty to do a more elaborate, like more full face of makeup, absolutely. But like I said, oftentimes the people that I have seen prefer Clean Beauty do also prefer a simplified makeup look. Not always, but a lot. All right, so we'll do the Jones Road last, because I really want to focus on that. So on the eyes, I'm gonna do Victoria Beckham. This is Victoria Beckham's, I want to get the name right, the Lid Lustres. So I have this one in Honey. I have a couple of shades. It's a great product. It's just easy to use. And I will show you on the back of my hand, Honey. That's Honey. And again, just gonna use my fingers, pat this on. Jones Road also has some really great eyeshadows and sparkle shadows that I've used. They're absolutely beautiful, very easy to use, and her eyeshadows are like super simple. And then I'm gonna take the brick, and I am gonna use a brush for this. I'm gonna use one of the new Chikuhodo brushes, and let me just show you the design. Isn't it pretty? Now, of course, the most important thing about a brush is how it works, not the design on it, but I like the design. So I'm gonna take the brick and I'm gonna take the lightest shade in here. Just use that in the crease a little, in the brow area just a little bit. I'm not using a lot. Then I'm gonna use a very small brush and the deepest shade in here, the brown in here, to use as a liner. And again, I'm not gonna use a lot of it. Just a little bit on the top, and then I'm gonna use the gold shade on the bottom. Super simple look, easy to do, but really beautiful, right? I mean, it's just like for every day, just a really nice look. All right, now I'm gonna curl my lashes, and I'm gonna use the Calorie Mascara. Mascara's on, let's get to Jones Road. So as I said, this is a Dusty Rose. And let me pull up the shades. Okay, Jones Road has 7 shades. The rest of the shades look more or less, you know, traditional bronzer shades. This, to me, looks exactly as it's described, is a dusty rose. So it's a very pink brown, almost like a rosewood shade. And I would absolutely use this as blush. However, many of you have said, when I did my review of the Hermes and I did Atlas against like 25 other bronzers, you said that you wanted a cooler bronzer. The coolest bronzer I have, I think, is probably the Terra bronzer, but we're going to compare this one to that. We're going to compare this one to some others as well. But I think this is even cooler than Terra. I'm pretty sure. Because this has more of it's more of a blush than it is a bronzer. The reason I say that, and I said this in my video, bronzers are meant to be bronzing. They're meant to have some warmth to them. And so the idea of this product, I think, for those of us who don't really tan, who have more a reddish undertone to their skin or a pinkish undertone to their skin, and when they sit out in the sun, they get more of a, you know, like a burn than anything else. I have not put my face in the sun in a very long time. So, but yes, I generally, you know, I don't really tan. I don't get a golden color. I get a pinkish color. So many people who have that kind of undertone don't feel comfortable with a yellow, golden, bronzy kind of bronze. The thing is, with bronzer is supposed to hit like the high points of your cheek. So you don't want to take a contour shade, a shade that has like a mushroom shade, like the biscuit that I used, where I contoured here. You don't want to put that here because that'll like look muddy, or it can look muddy on certain skin tones. And so if you put a shade that has too much gray in it, that won't work. But a blush shade like this one will. So that's why you can use this where you would use a traditional, quote, bronzer, because you're using it at high points of your face, but that's okay because it's not a grayish tone. So just try to keep away from anything that's like cool toned, but like has like a grayish undertone or like a mushroom undertone. So what we're gonna do is I have a bronzer brush and I have a blush brush. So I'm gonna show you, first of all, this is blush, but you could use this this is bronzer. It's named bronzer, but how you can use this as a contour blush, and then how you can build it into the parts of your face that you would want to bronze. So start off with something light, use a cheek brush, and find kind of like where the contour of your face is, like where you'd want to kind of hollow out a little bit. And start the blush there, which is a little lower, and give yourself, like, put it up into the sort of your hairline by your face. Almost like blush draping. Do you see how that contours your face? It gives you the blush, because I'm going up higher as I do it, but it also went into the contour of my face. And because it's cool toned, it blends with the biscuit that I put there, and you have a nice contour to the face versus this side. This side has a little bit of the contour on it, but it doesn't have the blush. Do you see how the face shape looks a little bit different? So that's how you can use a product like this as a contour slash blush, which was very big in the 80s, guys. That was before Kim Kardashian and the whole, you know, contouring of your face, and everybody had contour products. People did this with blush. So you basically take your blush and you'd start it a little lower, like where you put your contour now, and then you'd bring it up higher onto your face and then drape it into your hairline. And the reason you drape it into your hairline is so that it all kind of blends, so you don't get this harsh line. So it starts in the contour of your face like that, but it's higher. You take the blush and then you bring it in so it's like regular blush. And see how that looks? Like you get a blush, but you also get a contour. And you can do that as long as the shades are, you know, complementary to your skin. They don't have to be cool toned because, again, you're bringing it up a little bit higher. This piece right here where you're literally contouring, you're still going to want something that is cooler toned, which is why I put the biscuit on first. But that's how you get that blush slash contour look. Now, if you want to use this as bronzer, you can do the same thing. I would suggest using a bigger brush, like a bronzer brush, keeping it fluffy and light, because if you go in too deep with it, it's going to look a little weird. So I'm going to pull my hair back, lots of curly hair here, and I'm going to push it across my forehead, just like I would with a bronzer. But you notice I'm like blending it out. I don't want it to be too, concentrated like a blush. And I do the same thing. Keep it, you know, light and fluffy. Put it exactly where you'd put bronzer. Eye on your cheeks. Cross your nose. And then if you want to do a slash contour on your chin, you can do a little bit there. And there you go. There is the Dusty Rose as blush, a little bit of contour, and then bronzer. And you can see my face does not look bronzed because it's not. It doesn't have that bronzy warmth to my skin. But it also doesn't look like pale because I took the bronzer and I did it the same way I would apply a warmer bronzer in the same places. Contour, a little bit of contour, slash blush, slash bronzer. And it works beautifully on my skin. I think this shade looks gorgeous and I absolutely love it. I will probably still use a little bit of bronzer, and I know this is a bronzer, but like a more traditional shade of bronze on my skin because I like a little bit of warmth added to my skin. But if you don't, if you want more of this look, you can easily do it. I just showed you how to do it. So it's really simple. You can use it as contour slash blush, high blush, and bronzer all at once on your face. And if you're somebody where a cooler toned bronzer looks good on you, you know, absolutely. There are some skin tones that I don't think this shade will look good on. I think somebody with an olive tone, if they tried to put this on as bronzer, I don't think it will look as good. That's, again, it's personal taste. You might do it. You might have olive tones, undertones, and love it. But I feel like an olive tone usually has more of like a greenish, a little bit yellowish undertone. You mix a pink with it, it kind of cancels it out. It looks muddy. It doesn't look quite right. So I would suggest that people who have pink undertones, red undertones to their skin will like this more because when they bronze, when they're out in the sun, this is more of the look that they get. If you're somebody who goes out in the sun like my husband and you turn a golden, gorgeous, perfect shade of, in my opinion, of tan, this probably won't look as natural. It won't look as, you know, you won't look at it and go, oh yes, that's what I'm looking for. But I gotta give it to Jones Road. I gotta give it to Bobbi Brown. Like, it's a brilliant move because there are a lot of people who, and many of you have said this to me, like you're looking for a bronzer that really isn't a bronzer. You're looking for a bronzer that's really a blush. And I've said this before, you can just use blush. I do have shades of blush that are going to be very similar to this. I'm going to try to pull them out. There's a Suku one, I'm almost positive, like 09 is almost identical to this. I think Mocha from Chanel is close to this. I think there's a bunch of them that I've used, some way back, and some are relatively new like Suku. But this shade, this dusty rose, this cool toned brown rose shade, you can always use it as blush and or bronzer. And the whole thing about a bronzer, like I said before, bronzers for the high points of your face is where the sun would hit. So if you want a cooler tone look and you don't really want warmth, you don't really want bronzing, you just want like depth, you want something to, you know, take away the paleness of your skin, or maybe you want something that evens out your skin, then this is a great choice. Now, a couple of you have written in about other brands that have this type of bronzer, that it's more of like a pink. Again, find one that you like, but this one is really good. I like the Jones Road formula. This formula is very smooth. It's very comfortable on the skin. It blended in beautifully and it worked really well as contour slash blush. It worked beautifully as bronzer in the high points of my face. It doesn't accentuate lines. It's a really nice formula, really good formula, especially for the price point. It's $35 and it's clean and cruelty free. And like I said, there are 6 other shades. So I'm hoping to pick up another shade to do a comparison between the Jones Road, some of the other bronzers I already have in my collection, Hermes, and Pat McGrath. I'm going to get a couple of shades from Pat McGrath so you can see the differences, and that way you can have an easier time picking out the ones that you want to pick up. Last but not least, I want to pull out, and I don't think I've ever used it on the channel. This is the Jones Road Lip Tint. I really like these. Now, as you guys know, I love a glossy balm. Like that is my like favorite thing. And this one, I'm just looking up to see what kind of, how many shades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shades. And I have this one in, what shade is this? New Rose. And I love this product. Now, again, it's like a glossy balm. It's not, you know, revolutionary in what it is, but it actually has quite a bit of pigment for being a balm. It has a lot more pigment than a lot of glossy balms. It's very comforting, very nourishing, and I love this shade. It reminds me of the Dior limited edition balm, the one that had the checkered on it. It was like something, I think that was something rose too. Anyway, it's similar. Isn't that just like the perfect everyday shade? I mean, it kind of reminds me of the blush a little bit. Like the two just blend perfectly together and it creates, I don't know, just a really nice everyday look. You know, again, clean beauty does not have to mean less beauty. It does not have to mean that you don't have a pulled together look. It just means that it's clean ingredients. That's really all it means. And if you do equate clean beauty with like a easier, simpler makeup routine, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it can still be a beautiful pulled together look. Honestly, more often than not, this would be even more makeup than I usually do on a normal day because I'm just so busy and I just don't have time. So I will have something on Instagram with the Jones Road compared to other shades. I'll compare it to Terra, obviously, Tom Ford Terra, because I know you guys were interested in that. I'll look for some blushes that I think are very similar to it in case you already have those blushes in your collection. You can use them like I used the Dusty Rose today. And then when the Pat McGrath comes out, I will compare the Jones Road bronzers that I have at that point to the Pat McGraths, to the Hermes, Tom Fords, Dior's, everything that I have in my collection. So if you have any questions, please put them below in the comment sections. I'd love to hear what your favorite clean beauty products are and if there are new ones out there that I should try. I've seen there's new products dropping from Caloray and Merit and a whole bunch of others that do look interesting to me, so I'm thinking of picking those up. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon. Bye.